I just started off with, I just want 50 people in the room. I got 5 times that.
That's amazing.
So the following year was a no-brainer. I was going to renew my license, and I was like, we're on. February, I renewed my license, and March, the world shuts down.
COVID hits.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, what are we going to do? This event was designed to have people in the room.
Right.
We have COVID. What's going to happen? And one of the things I remember, Mark Cole, CEO of Maxwell leadership team, and Chris Robinson saying, guys, don't worry, we're going to take care of you.
Welcome to the LeaderPass Studios Executive Series Behind the Leadership Curtain. I'm your host, Jamie Minton, and today I'm honored to introduce Mercy Achola, a leadership consultant and Maxwell certified coach from Nairobi, Kenya. Mercy has spent over 20 years empowering leaders and businesses across continents, helping them communicate more effectively and lead with greater impact. Her journey from corporate executive to global leadership mentor is inspiring, and her insights into personal development and team dynamics are truly transformative. Join us as we explore Mercy's approach to unlocking leadership potential and the strategies she uses to help companies thrive in today's complex world. Mercy, it is so nice to have you here, LeaderPass Studios on the Executive Series, in from right down the road, right? You live right down the
I
road.
wish it was. But thank you so much, Jamie, for having me here.
Yes.
All the way, just for you.
Oh, no, I know better than
From
that.
Nairobi, Kenya.
I know, and I know better than why you're here, but I'm glad to have time with you. And you and I have known each other for several years now. I guess going on 4 years remotely for most of it.
Yes.
Through the John Maxwell Live to Lead event. Is that where we first met?
Absolutely. Yeah, we first met during the pandemic. Remember?
Right. Yes.
When we were all under lockdown
Yep.
and we needed solutions.
Yeah.
And thanks to you,
Hey.
we were at the right place at the right time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we were glad to be there and have enjoyed still working with you and several leaders, and of course the event, and new changes this year. It'll be a little different, but still same great content. And I know everybody's excited about that. But we're here to talk about you and what you do and your experience working with some incredible companies back home.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to hear, how did you get into the leadership space? Like, where did it start with just a desire and a passion when you were working a job or a business, or how did you start?
Very interesting. Leadership it's something you're born with, or are leaders made? Are they born? I guess both happen.
Yep, that's true.
I did find myself in leadership positions from one time or another growing up. I'm the firstborn. I guess that makes me a leader.
Yep, you're the first.
And but coming to what I do today, it didn't happen this way. I didn't plan it this way. And after 20 plus years of being in the corporate space, both locally in Kenya and internationally, I found myself out of a job. My family was moving around, but I knew I wanted to do something with me. I still wanted to be productive. And I started to do business development for companies that wanted to export their goods and services out of Kenya. But the more I interacted with these business owners, the more I sensed that there was something they were missing. I'd put them in front of investors. I was hosting trade missions. And I would look at their communication, their articulation. They had great brands, great products, but they were leaving money on the table, as we say. And the more I looked into that, the more I felt, Mercy, it's not your place. You have connected them. My company is called Value Connect. So we were connecting them already to value, and we're like, what's your problem? But the more I ran away from it, the more it drew me back. Long story short, I discovered the Maxwell leadership team, and I knew I could get through them resources into my hands that could help support these leaders to become better leaders, to become better communicators, and to be able to add value to their own teams so that they could become and do what it is that they wanted to do in the way they wanted to.
That's
So
great.
that's my short story.
That's a good short story.
Yeah.
What did you see missing? Like, what was the obvious? Because they were successful brands, you
They
said.
were.
What
They
were
were.
the initial one or two things that really stood out to you?
Two things. One, the communication, like I said, they'd be on a trade mission where they've come to connect with other potential investors. They want somebody to invest in their businesses, or they are looking for raw materials or for markets.
Hmm.
And during those conversations, as I observed them, they were not able to fully articulate themselves. So, communication barrier, in the sense that, John Maxwell says everybody communicates, but few connect.
Hmm.
They were not making the connection.
Gotcha.
And I sensed it. I'm like, "Oh, if I were you, this is what I would say." Another thing is, as I interacted with them, a lot of them shared with me their own challenges as leaders in terms of being the lead to their businesses. They were not expanding themselves as leaders. They were having team dynamic challenges, dealing with different people, different personalities, how to motivate their teams to become productive. And the one that I love most today, because I still say it, they were all getting challenges of having more leaders within their own organizations,
Mm.
where they would have very good performers with good technical skills. But whenever they promoted them, they would begin to face challenges. And it's because they were not equipping them with the right leadership skills to
Yeah.
be able to lead the teams that they were giving them.
So themselves and their teams with a
Yes.
huge gap and
Yes.
huge need. So what have you seen? Well, first of all, what's the first, like when you bring in a new client in that scenario,
Yeah.
would there be a go-to book or a go-to training or lesson plan that you would incorporate from the Jean side or from what you've integrated into your own style? What would be the first thing that you typically start people off with, or does it vary?
Yes. It's never a one size fits all, Jamie, because one of the things you'll find is everybody is coming from a different space. But what I love being a Maxwell certified team member is that I feel like I have this toolbox that really equips me to take the right diagnostics, understanding, and being able to evaluate what the client needs are.
Hmm.
And from there, I'm able to tailor make something. The beauty of it also is in my 20 plus years of career, I worked in 5 countries, in 3 continents. So I'm able to bring in my own diversity, learnings, and application into those scenarios. And one of the things I get told a lot by my clients is that what I bring to them is not just theory. They see a lot of the application side of it, which I was privileged to have gone through some of these things, either as a team member or a team leader in the various places that I worked. So, what typically we'll do with a client, one of my favorites is to understand their personality. Whether I'm coaching a client, whether I'm training a sales team, because communication, I need to understand. We all communicate differently based on our personalities.
Right.
So I find that to be a great foundation. It helps me understand them first, but it also helps me understand them to show them how they can be self aware and how they can use that to now advance themselves into the area that they're seeking to problem solve or to grow themselves.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So it's that assessment. It's almost do you do certain tools that you'll use to do that, or what are some of your go-to
My
tools?
go-to on that,
Yeah.
Jamie, is the Maxwell disc method.
Disc. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a fantastic, for me, it's like some clients look at me and they say, "Oh, Mercy, were you on the wall watching me in my office
How
as
do
I
you know
was
these
filling
things?
these
Yeah.
things? How do I know these things?" I
Yeah.
tell them it's a question of being a behavioral consultant
Mhm.
and going through the process and knowing it, because it's a very, very powerful tool.
Yeah.
And there's nothing as powerful as first knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Because, Jamie, when you and I know ourselves, it becomes so much easier to understand what even others are doing.
Oh yeah.
And we know that we have our strengths. We all have our blind spots, which we rarely think about or talk about. And then we also have our potential, things that we are capable of doing. I'm sure you and I can talk about some of that.
Sure.
And then also knowing that there's some things that we know about ourselves and we don't want somebody else to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of
Right.
area that only you and God
Only me
know.
and God know.
That's right.
That dark secret.
So when you do that and
Yeah.
you're interpreting that,
Yeah.
just to play off of that for a second,
Mm-hmm.
do you find that a client at first is a little nervous about doing the assessment or what you're going to discover, or are they pretty open to the idea of jumping right in because you're going to take them somewhere,
Absolutely.
but you have to know where your starting point is with them. So how does that typically work?
It's a very interesting question, Jamie, because I've had the whole mix. There are clients who come to me and saying, I want a specific assessment.
Okay.
They know what they want in that context. But then I listen to them and I'm like, okay, is that what you want? How about I give it to you, but using a different assessment?
Yep. Yep.
And they're willing to give it a shot because at the end of the day, it's not about the assessment, it's about the results, the output
Yep. Yep.
that you want. Then I've also had the kind of clients that have never taken an assessment before and they're curious. What is this? 24 questions? And then my whole life is revealed in front of me.
Yeah.
So they find out intriguing
Mhm.
that it is so spot on and it's so accurate.
Yep.
And then this is a rare minority, I know. It's not something I've encountered often, but it has happened that you find somebody who takes the assessment and sees themselves and they get so scared they don't even want to do the debrief with me.
They shut down.
They just shut down.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it
So
happens.
it has happened. I've had maybe one or two clients
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But a good number get intrigued. In fact, after they see the results, they want to, they're looking forward to the debrief session. They
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
understand more.
Cool.
They want to know what it is. And I think that's what I've found. Others will say, I've done so many of these assessments before. What is different about this one? And what I tell them, because it's my own personal experience, is that not only do you know who you are, but you get to know what to do with what you are.
Yeah.
How do you become better?
Yep.
I say it's not a reason to chest thump and say, this is who I am, so take me or leave me, or, oh, I don't like what I see. What can I do with it? It's not a moment to feel sorry for yourself. What it does, it's a place to be empowered because once you understand yourself and you take action on what you like or don't like, you're empowered.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it.
You get results. You get results.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
let's imagine we took it, you've done the debrief. Where do you see most of your clients in a really good next step? Is it equipping them with resources that you have? Is it you coming in and spending time with their team? Are there books that you use? Take me through that next step now to start making that change.
Great question again, Jamie. Typically, I rarely offer the Maxwell Disc method on its own. It's usually the first step
Okay.
in terms of problem solving. Whether you're a coaching client, I want to be able to understand you. What is it? Yes, you've come to me for coaching, but how are we going to approach it? How will you navigate this for yourself? So it's always a good place to start for coaching clients. When it comes to training, communications training, sales training, all these things start first. You know, whether it's becoming a better leader, whether it's about the team dynamics. Half the time team dynamics are going wrong is because people have conflict management.
Yep.
People are not making decisions. And it all boils down if you understand who you are, your self-awareness. It takes you a notch higher because I always say the only person you can change, Jimmy, is you. I can only change me. If we're working on the same team, I may not like some things about you, Jamie, but if I change the way I approach you, then maybe I can influence. Note, I say influence, not what's the word? Manipulate.
Right. Right.
I'm influencing you to a certain way because most of us react and I'm moving away I say I move you away from a reaction to a response.
Gotcha. Yep.
With reaction, you're really not in control. But when I choose to respond to you, Jamie, we're on the same team. I'm basically deciding, I'm being intentional, and I know what it is that I want to influence with. And I think that's the power that comes into all this. So, regardless of whether it's a leadership training, you want to be able to influence your team.
Right. Right.
You want to motivate them. You need to understand your style first and then understand what your team is comprising of. And then you deal with each individual depending on what it is they need from you.
Love it.
And that's how
Love
it flows. You have clients, Jimmy. You and I do.
Yeah.
And when we understand why they do things the way they do, then we're able to serve them in the right way.
That's
So
great.
that's the
That was great.
context
No,
of
I
it
love it.
all.
I
Yeah.
love it. That's at the client level. Let's go up to a larger group level, because I know what you've done successfully and you enjoy doing. I don't know if it's just once a year in your country or in a couple of different countries, but is an event experience.
Yes.
And talk me through that, what you do, like
Mhm.
right now,
Yeah.
and then what that looks like. Paint a picture of the day for me, because you
Yeah.
do quite a few things and get a lot of amazing results and response from that.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. So, what you're referring to is an event called Live to Lead, which I first got introduced to when I joined the Maxwell leadership team and I attended my first conference in Orlando, Florida. And I came across it. And what happens is John comes together with some world class speakers onto a stage and they talk all matters leadership. The first time I saw it, I was intrigued. I was like, what can I do with this? And I knew it's available to me. It's in my hands. It's a license we purchased, and it runs from October all the way till February. We can use the content from that. First one I saw had Tyler Perry the previous year, and I was like, oh my goodness, my dear, who doesn't like my dear? I had missed it, but I was like, if this is the caliber of speakers that I can bring to my community through John, I want it. And the first year I went into it, and other than John, I had no clue who the other speakers were. And this was before the pandemic, 2019,
Okay.
where we presented it in a very different way, which everybody had to be in the room.
Yep.
And you have John on a big screen. And that's how we were transmitting
Live
it.
from
Live
Atlanta. Yeah.
from Atlanta, and we were live streaming it.
Okay. Yep.
I was in Nairobi, Kenya. And here was the challenge, Jamie. The year I was hosting my first Live to Lead happened 2 weeks after TD Jakes had been to Kenya.
Oh no. Okay.
Yes, in person.
Oh, in person.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And so you can imagine trying to get people into a room and they're like, John on a big screen? Well, TD Jakes was here, so why can't you bring John to us?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the current I was fighting against. But thanks to God and all the partners that we got to work with us, we managed to still fill a room with 250 people. There was more tears and pain to do that, but I'll shorten the story.
That's great.
We had a successful event. A lot of lessons we learned from it. In my part of the world, we said I paid a lot of school fees. It costs me a lot. That's what it
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
And it happened. And in my mind, I was like, okay, it happened. And this was from a place of just having wanted 50 people, by the way.
Oh wow.
I just started off with, I just want 50 people in the room. I got 5 times that.
That's amazing.
So the following year was a no-brainer. I was going to renew my license. And I was like, we're on. February, I renewed my license. And March, the world shuts down.
COVID hits.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, what are we going to do? This event was designed to have people in the room.
Right.
We have COVID. What's going to happen? And one of the things I remember Mark Cole, CEO of Maxwell Leadership Team, and Chris Robinson saying, guys, don't worry, we're going to take care of you. And that's how I got introduced to LeaderPass. They came to you guys, and suddenly we had LeaderPass, which was going to help us to still take Live to Lead to our communities and still within the confines of what the pandemic had reduced us to.
Yeah.
And this is where I say, Jamie, for you and your team at LeaderPass, you are a blessing in disguise. It came at a time when we had the right content, which was Live to Lead. And through LeaderPass, we were able to be at the right place at the right time. People were hungry to hear of some positive message of resilience, of growth, and all that. And that happened to be the year that we impacted the most people yet
Wow.
in one
Isn't that
season.
yeah, yeah.
And that was 3,500 people.
That is awesome.
In one of the sessions that we held in partnership with one of my clients, we had 1,500 people tuned in at the same time. It was a year we had Steve Harvey. I don't know if he had anything to do with that.
No, we were LeaderPass. We were there for you to do it, but I remember your numbers.
You
It's
do remember.
fantastic. Oh yeah, of
So
course.
that was phenomenal for us. But what I liked from that is that it also gave us an opportunity to sell virtual tickets
Yeah,
and have people still watch it without us being present there.
yeah.
And it's something that we continue to enjoy on LeaderPass, even in subsequent years. Yes, now the world has opened up, but you have given us different ways of still reaching out to our communities. People, of course, got tired of doing virtual. They wanted to go back
Oh yeah, yeah.
to in-person meetings. I mean, we're social beings.
Of
It's
course,
not
of
surprising.
course. Yeah,
But that has been the experience of LeaderPass. But one thing I know, that second year, we pivoted and it didn't happen like the first time.
hmm
And for me, I took a very big lesson from that. God was like showing me, Mercy, you're going to do Live to Lead, you're going to host it. But since then, this is going to be our sixth year. There's not a single year where we had a similar event to the previous year.
yeah,
I've learned to sit back and say, okay, God, what are we going to do this year?
yep. See what's
I
gonna happen.
sit back, what happens, and then we've taken the cue from that.
That's great.
But every year has continued to be a phenomenal year.
hmm
And this year will be no different. For the first time, we're having 8 speakers
It's
from,
a lot of
I
speakers.
think the most we ever had was 5.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're having 8. That's double the number. And the first thing that's going through my mind, I'm like, Mercy, there's no way you're going to feature 8 speakers
Right.
in one day. And so I know my fallback is going to be LeaderPass because if you come for my one-day event, how am I going to help you to see all the other speakers?
Yeah,
It's only going to be through LeaderPass.
yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Well, we are too. We are too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Leadership Garage. Can we talk about Leadership Garage? Because I do want to talk about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That to me is taking what you do
Mm.
and your expertise and experience, and from all of your business and all of your life, your career, and creating a digital product is the way I would phrase that.
Yeah.
A training program that people can access ongoing.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? What Leadership Garage is?
So Leadership Garage, first, the genesis. I'm all about leadership. It's who I am. It's what I do. As the famous Coke ad would say, I eat, sleep, drink leadership.
Yep.
And when I came up with the word Leadership Garage, something went through my mind. Yes, leaders are born and they're made. And cars are things that are also made by man.
Mhm.
And we know, regardless of what model of vehicle, I wouldn't even say cars, I'll say motor vehicles. They're made and they perform, they have a performance level. But in order to keep their performance steady or better, they must always go to the garage for a checkup.
There you go.
Sometimes a big checkup, minor checkup. It happens. But in the same way, we as leaders, we are born, we're made, but we are consistently having to go into a garage, quote unquote, where sometimes we need a major overhaul, sometimes it's minor, sometimes it's a windscreen, sometimes it's an oil check, whatever that is, we all need it. And so I decided to take that same analogy. Thanks to my son also, a few years ago, I became a Formula One fan.
Okay.
the racing
Yeah. Yeah.
sport. And there's so many leadership lessons
Oh my. Yeah.
I look at, I observe from that, and I learn from. Like this is what I want to call it. So in that leadership garage concept, thanks to you, Jamie, and your team, I began to put together, because whenever we host our Live to Lead in Kenya, what we do is we have a full day of engagement with our clients, and we normally invite our local leaders, captains of industry,
Mm.
to also participate in the conversation, because we want to first show that yes, the message is coming from a global platform led by John Maxwell, world class speakers, but these are not conversations that are just happening out there.
Mm.
They're still relevant in our community. And so these local leaders help us to connect the dots for the audience so that they can relate to it.
That's
And
great.
they see that.
Yep.
And then we also get to learn different applications that have happened. And we do have a production of this content, and we put it together, and you have helped us to break it down into smaller, palatable messages that people can watch. They can watch the full screen if they want. They can watch the minute bite size that you put in for us. And so we decided to have this on the Leadership Garage platform.
Mm-hmm.
Alongside that, and I guess with this today, I'm going to come back to that. I was hosting a podcast series.
Okay.
It's had its moments, ups and downs. Sometimes we're very consistent, sometimes
Yep.
not, due to some busy schedules. But we have been able to interview certain leaders in our community who have shared their own leadership journeys
Mm-hmm.
and how they perceive the garage scenario in their own lives, from speed of essence as leaders, to performance that we've mentioned, changing of gears, because that is a practical thing that happens in all our lives. And we have adapted our podcast series also onto the Leadership Garage platform. And thanks to you, we do see this as being our digital platform. And we hope we can do more with it. We can build it more together with your team.
Mm-hmm.
And we can really make it something that even our own people, outside of the Live to Lead window
Mm-hmm.
that we now have, how do we make it still a viable product that they can access
Yep.
for themselves and for their teams out of that? So it's still a work in progress.
Yep.
It's still in the garage. It's been panel beaten, but when we do get around to that, that is our
I love it.
big dream and our vision for the Leadership Garage platform.
I love it.
Yeah.
So anybody that is watching this and learning about you and falling in love with you, like everybody does when they hear you talk and see your heart, what is a good place to direct them? Like, how would they connect with you if they wanted to learn more or interact with you? What's the best way to do that?
Well, right now, the best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn.
Okay. Yep.
There's many platforms I know, social media platforms,
Mm-hmm.
but because of the clients that we work with, mainly being corporate clients,
Yeah.
LinkedIn is the
LinkedIn's the best way.
platform
Okay.
where I would say they're best to reach me on, and just look for at Achola Mercy, and you'd be able to find me. I will pop up. My son and his friends claim that I'm an influencer on the platform.
They claim it. Okay. Something tells me you are. Something tells me you are. Yeah.
So that one for sure.
Okay.
A
Okay.
little bit on Twitter,
Mhm.
not as much.
Mhm.
We can also be there and on Facebook.
And
But
your website is is that in work in progress right now, or do you have a site up?
yes, we do have a website also, which is www.valueconnectonline.co.ke.
Okay.
It's also a place to find us, and but the best place is LinkedIn, because
LinkedIn.
people want instant.
Of course.
Send you a
Yeah.
message, and they want to come back to you.
So then you respond from there.
That would be a place to find
That's
us.
great.
But
Well,
if you want to see what we've done, our website can also be able to showcase to you some of the clients we've been able to serve over the years. And we're grateful for being able to add value to them.
excellent. Well, it's a pleasure having you. I'm so glad we could work this into your schedule as you were flying in and through to your next destination.
Yes.
You're going to Chicago, you're going to Orlando. But thank you for taking the time and for sharing
Mhm.
these lessons and talking about what is happening in your world, in your
Mhm.
life.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where you go. This is going to be a big year, I have a feeling, for you.
Thank you, Jamie. And it's truly an honor. So humbled when you said, Mercy, could you come and do this podcast with us? I am grateful for that invitation. And you're a great friend. I'm happy to know you and to have you in my life because not only have we gotten to know each other from a work perspective, but you're also continually adding value to us, and we do appreciate you.
Well, thank
So
you.
thank you, and we wish you well and well done. Also, the last time I met you, the studio wasn't there,
No,
and
it
look
was
at
on
it,
its way. It's
it
on its
was,
way.
and
Yes.
it's finally here.
Yes,
So
indeed.
excited for you.
Great.
And who knows, we may come back and do some more recordings with you
I have a feeling.
into the
I have a
future.
feeling. You have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
That's for sure. All right, up high. Give me a high
Thank you.
five.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
All right.